Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Jeffrey Epstein Show. I'm your host, Bobbycapucci, and this is a morning update. So, in Daily Drop number 78, we talked a little bit about the House panel seeking more info on the local officials in Florida who were involved in the Jeffrey Epstein case, the original case. And we touched on a few things, but we didn't really add too much context to that. There wasn't much to the article, right? Well, the Palm Beach Post has an article from a couple of days ago, and it really gets into the weeds, and it talks about some of the players, and it adds some context to that story. So, as you all know, I'm big on context here. So it's a slow day after Christmas. There's not much going on in the world of the Jeffrey Epstein reporting. Prince Andrew, everything's about the royal Christmas dinner, all about lunch, whatever it was. So what I figured I'd do this morning is we're going to add a little context to episode 78, and we're going to read this pretty in-depth article. It's a bit of a long read, but it'll be worth it. There's going to be a lot of good information in here, a lot of information that is important to the case, and a lot of information that I think a lot of you will find interesting. Again, there's a bunch of names. So all these names, what I do is whenever I see new names, I jot them down, and then I go back and I look at them and I see who they are, what their ties are with Jeffrey Epstein, if they have ties with Ghislaine Maxwell, etc., etc. And you would be absolutely, positively shocked to see how many people have ties with this man. It's like 7 degrees of separation at this point. Everybody who's involved with this guy is running for the hills as well. You notice nobody comes out and says, yeah, I knew him. We hung out in some social circles, but I didn't, it wasn't my friend or anything like that. No, I didn't know him. We didn't hang out. None of that. In reality, we all know that they're lying. So I think it's good that the House is focusing on this. I think it's important. I think that going into the new year, I think the American people will expect the House and the Senate to actually do some work for the people as opposed to what they're up to right now. So hopefully this is a good sign of things to come. Again, this will add some context to what we talked about in episode 78. And we'll just go from there. We'll keep adding on. We'll just keep adding on another layer and another layer and another layer as they become available. That's all we can do. All we can do is make sure we have all of the information available to us so that we can get a clear picture of what's going on in this Jeffrey Epstein case. All right, so if you'd like to contact me, you can do that at bobbycapucci@protonmail.com. That's BOBBYCAPUCCI@protonmail.com. Let's jump into the article. The Palm Beach Post. Headline: Jeffrey Epstein case. U.S. House panel seeks info about local officials. Author: John Pacenti. A congressional committee is laying groundwork for possible hearings in which former Palm Beach County State Attorney Barry Krischer could be asked to testify about how he handled the case in 2006. Well, yeah, Krischer should definitely be brought down in front of the man, because guess what? Krischer has a lot to answer for, a whole lot to answer for. Now that the House Democrats are done with impeachment, they are following up with their promise to look into the role of state or local officials in the secret non-prosecution deal and cushy jail treatment gifted to serial sexual predator Jeffrey Epstein in Palm Beach County more than a decade ago. Well, it's nice they finally got around to it, huh? Nice that Congress finally is getting around to Jeffrey Epstein. They had a lot of other important things to do. They had to talk about baseball, and they have to be involved in this, they have to be involved in that. But no, when it comes to this, we could wait 10 years. No big deal. We'll wait 10 years, and then we'll have a congressional hearing about this. The Committee on Oversight and Reform is casting a wide net for documents and emails and letters sent Friday to the U.S. Justice Department and the Florida Department of Law Enforcement. We're going to try to get anything we can, said U.S. Representative Lois Frankel, Democrat, West Palm Beach. I know they are serious about looking at the Epstein case. Well, I'll believe it when I see it, right? Words are wind. A lot of these people, these committees, they talk a good game, but then when they convene, they really don't get any information. And if they do get the information, it never sees the light of day, unless it's leaked, because guess what? These people are just as smarmy. The committee seeks information about how the non-prosecution agreement was kept from Epstein's teenage victims and how the Palm Beach multi-millionaire, pedophile, was able to spend 6 days a week, 12 hours a day on work release while serving 13 months of an 18-month jail sentence. The letters don't name any local officials specifically, but Frankel, a West Palm Beach Democrat, has said she wants to hear testimony in front of the committee from Palm Beach County Sheriff Rick Bradshaw and former state attorney Barry Krischer, as well as former U.S. Attorney Alex Acosta. Well, that could be interesting. I wonder if they got Alex Acosta under oath and asked him about the intelligence angle, what his answer would be then. That would be very interesting to see. So I'm very hopeful that this occurs. Now, do I think it's going to? No. But am I hopeful that it might? Yeah. I mean, look, here, at the end of the day, folks, you know how I feel. I really don't trust our government to do anything correctly. They can't even build streets at this point. The roads aren't even taken care of. So I don't trust the government to do anything correctly, especially go after some of their buddies. The Palm Beach Post reported in November that Krischer set the stage for international outrage as the first prosecutor in the Epstein case. He crippled his own case by treating the teenage victims as if they were prostitutes. Palm Beach police had built a case with 13 girls, many who attended Royal Palm Beach High School, who said Epstein molested or sexually assaulted them during massages at his mansion. This is factual. I've read the articles, I've read the police reports. And there's a book out by James Preston, I think it is, something Preston, I don't know, about Jeffrey Epstein, and it goes into a lot of this. The early case about the girls, how Sarah Kellen was big time involved, a whole lot. So I highly suggest you check that book out. It is. If you haven't read it yet, you would think that it's just going to be going over the basics, but it gives you some good information. A lot of stuff about the state case, the original state case. The Post reported Krischer's office fed into the narrative peddled by Epstein's high-powered attorneys, obtaining initially only a solicitation of prostitution charge from a grand jury. Now remember, okay? The state prosecutor was basically working with the defense team to build a profile of these girls that they could bring to the grand jury to defame them and see, look, these girls like to drink. They like boys. They like They can't be trusted. It's gross. It's absolutely gross that the state's prosecution team would be involved in that. It's sad and disappointing, Frankel said Saturday about what the Post uncovered on Krischer. I think that is one of the reasons that the Oversight Committee wants to take a look. The Post has filed a lawsuit against the state attorney's office. We've covered that recently as well. And clerk's office seeking the release of secret grand jury transcripts. Only one victim testified in the 2006 proceedings, and the charge that emerged did not reflect the fact that she was a minor. The Treasure Coast prosecutor heading up the FDLE probe, ordered by Governor Ron DeSantis, is also interested in obtaining the transcripts. Now, I have more faith that locally they'll be able to obtain these transcripts and get things going than this committee will in the House. I mean, we've seen time and time again that these committees are a bunch of do-nothing committees. So hopefully the pressure applied by the state and then maybe the federal government can come in and help a little bit somewhere. But I'm hoping that Ron DeSantis and his local investigation will maybe dig up some dirt, because maybe Krischer has some people that he that don't like him there, right? And maybe they're going to use this as a vendetta to take him down. Who knows? Whatever the case may be, and however they get there, I really don't care, as long as we get the information, right? Frankel, who was a member of the House Appropriations Committee but not of Oversight, said the Oversight Committee would like to see them as well if possible. I don't know what the legalities of getting the grand jury transcript are, but we will get what we can, she said. She doesn't know the legalities? Well, let me help you out. You're not getting those transcripts. They are not going to release those grand jury transcripts. I highly doubt it. I'd be very, very, very surprised. Current State Attorney Dave Ehrenberg and Clerk and Comptroller Sharon Bach are both fighting the release of those documents to the public. Shocking. There you go. Well, there you go. So remember those two names, folks. Dave Ehrenberg and Sharon Bach. Okay, they both want to keep those documents away from the public. Ask yourself why. We live in a country where there's supposed to be complete transparency. This isn't a matter of national security. Why are you keeping secrets from us? Let us see all the information and put out the documents, sir. Palm Beach were so outraged by Krischer's mishandling of the case, it turned to the FBI. Acosta's office then worked out the non-prosecution agreement with Epstein's attorneys. Federal prosecutors shelved a 53-page indictment that could have sent Epstein to prison for decades. And I wonder why, folks. It's not just because he has money. That is not the only reason. All right, the same guy, Krischer, tried to put Rush Limbaugh in jail forever because of drugs when he had the addiction to the pills. And then you see the treatment that Epstein gets for molesting people and abusing people, and it's gross. It's a gross miscarriage of justice. Krischer has denied having anything to do with the non-prosecution agreement, but the Post found emails showing he helped broker it between Acosta's office and Epstein's defense attorneys. I've said this from the beginning. I think Krischer is way more responsible than Acosta even. I think Acosta was informed by his bosses at the federal level that, look, this is an operation, this is an intelligence operation, you better get your hands off of this guy. This goes all the way to the top. Whereas at the state, well, Krischer wasn't being run by any sort of intelligence agency. He's just a corrupt son of a bitch. He's just a guy that figured, you know what, we'll break Epstein off. He'll get off nice and easy, and then maybe we'll get a few fazools donated to us by him and his friends. That's what my assertion is. I don't have evidence of that, folks, but that's how I feel about him. Krischer wrote to the lead federal prosecutor in the midst of the negotiations that he'd spoken with Epstein's attorneys. Glad we could get this worked out for reasons I won't put in writing. Okay, that's not sinister right away. What does that mean, Mr. Krischer? All right, you won't put it in writing? Okay. Krischer wrote Maria Villafana, after this is resolved, I would love to buy you a cup at Starbucks and have a conversation. Boy, to be a roach in the rushes, huh? A fly on the wall for that conversation. I can only imagine what these two were up to. And again, Maria Villafana is another one from locally that needs to be questioned, because this is BS. What they did in Florida, what the local district attorney did in Florida and the state's attorney general did there is absolutely, positively repugnant, and it directly led to other girls being molested. Under the non-prosecution deal, Epstein pleaded guilty to 2 felony prostitution-related charges. He was allowed to leave the jail under work release to work at his newly formed Florida Science Foundation. One woman has sued, saying she was flown in as a teenager to have sex with him there. Now, there you go. So he's out on work release, doing his thing, doing whatever he wants, living his life still, and still flying girls in, underage women, to come in and have sex with him. How fantastic is that? All on your dime, folks. All on your dime. Isn't it great? After additional Epstein victims went public last year, he was charged in July in New York with sex trafficking. Authorities said he hanged himself in a Manhattan jail cell the next month. Allegedly. Frankel said that the Oversight Committee wants to go further than even the DeSantis investigation, which is focusing only on any criminal violations such as graft. We're trying to find out why Epstein got the deal that he got, Frankel said. I don't know if the FDLE investigation will get into that. I'm sorry, Ms. Frankel, but you will never, listen to me clearly, this commission will never, ever, 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 ever get to whatever information that intelligence does not want them to get to. Do you understand that even the Senate oversight commissions and committees and the Judiciary Committee, none of these people have oversight over intelligence? Take a look at what they did during Iraq, the black sites, this, that, the other thing. Take a look at what they're doing now. Look at the snatch and grabs all over the world. Look at the illegal drone strikes all over the world. And you're telling me that Ms. Frankel from Palm Beach is going to compel them to give her information? Yeah, okay. The Oversight Committee is requesting from FDLE all documents, including email communications, in its possession regarding the investigation and prosecuting of Epstein. It wants all materials collected by the current FDL investigation under DeSantis executive order. It has requested the documents be turned over by January 3rd. The committee has given the same deadline to Attorney General William Barr. Yeah, I'm sure William Barr is really shaking in his boots over the committee, okay? Over your little silly House committee. You don't have any teeth. You have no teeth. This committee has 0 teeth. But what I will say is this. I think it's good that they're talking about it at least. At least they're showing some interest in it. Now, let's hope that their interest isn't politically motivated. Corey Amundsen, director of the Justice Department's Office of Professional Responsibility, declined to brief the committee on the status of his office's investigation into the role of Acosta and his prosecutors and whether they committed professional misconduct in the case. What do you mean he's declined? He works for us, okay? This is the biggest problem with the Justice Department for me. They think that they're an entity of themselves. They think they have nobody that they answer to but the Attorney General. Well, they're wrong. Okay? They answer to us. They work for us. If this committee wants the documentation, they should be given it. Will they be given it? No way. Why? Because the Justice Department is incredibly corrupt. Since the department has declined to provide the briefing or any other information about the status of the investigation, the committee is now commencing its own review, the letter to Barr states. Good. Good for them. Maybe it'll force Barr's hand. You know, I'm not a big fan of Barr. Never have been, never will be. He's just another lifelong bureaucrat. He's been involved in some sinister shit throughout the country, throughout our time, and I just don't like the man, all right? I just do not like the man. Now, does that mean that I think that the investigation into the Russia, the origins of the Russian investigation is not needed? No, I think it's definitely needed. Because again, it has nothing to do with Trump, folks. It has to do with the Justice Department being corrupt and being wielded and used as a mallet to smash private American citizens over the head with. Enough is enough. U.S. District Judge Kenneth Mara of West Palm Beach found in February that federal prosecutors had violated the Crime Victims' Rights Act by concealing the existence of the non-prosecution agreement. However, Mara said in a September ruling that Epstein's death meant the judge couldn't throw out the agreement, which also protected Epstein's accused co-conspirators. New York prosecutors, however, are not covered by the agreement. So there you go, folks. In Florida, well, they might escape a little bit of justice there. But in New York, they are not going to escape justice in New York. They are going to get nailed in New York. There's going to be none of these agreements or anything like that. There is way too much spotlight on it now. So let's see what the SDNY can do. Everyone talks about how great the Southern District of New York is when it comes to prosecution. Well, we haven't seen that since they went after the mafia. They're a bunch of limperists at this point. But if they want to make up for it, if they want to really do some actual police work, well, here's your chance, folks. If you're listening down there in the SDNY, Maureen Comey, here's your chance. Oversight wants all documents and emails regarding the non-prosecution agreement, Epstein's work release, and any material obtained during the investigation of Acosta and his prosecutors. Congress could be setting up an epic showdown between Krischer and Acosta. Good. Let's get them both up there and let's see what they say. When Acosta resigned, he said federal authorities were forced to intervene so Epstein wouldn't walk free. If Mr. Acosta was truly concerned with the state's case and felt he had to rescue the matter, he would have moved forward with the 53-page indictment his own office drafted, Krischer said in July. Wow. Okay, well, we have Krischer, we have Acosta. Let's get them both under oath. Let's get the documents. Let's see the receipts. And let's see what's what. Let's start getting to the bottom of this. Enough with the words. Words are wind. All our Congress and Senate does is yap, 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 yap. Never no action. Unless, of course, it's to bomb some shitbag country somewhere to, needlessly. But forget about helping Americans. Forget about fixing infrastructure in the country. Forget about any of that, folks. How dare you? We're busy nation building. When really, these committees should be focused on what's going on at home. They should be focused on what's going on in American communities. They should be focused on predators like Jeffrey Epstein. If you'd like to contact me, folks, you can do that at Bobbycapucci at protonmail.com. That's BOBBYCAPUCCI at protonmail.com. And if you'd like to help support the show, you can click on the GoFundMe link inside of the description box. I will be back later on this afternoon with an evolution episode and, of course, a daily drop.